Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Bagaskara Wijayakusuma Putra Dwipa. I am from English Literature major 2019. And today I want to talk and give some information about linguistics, sexuality, and discourse analysis. Definition of linguistics. Linguistics is one of the recent academic information, but it has been embedded in the current conversations about language that related to gender and sexuality. This theory will be held on tight that each male and female has their own will in terms of sexuality. The word "queer" itself comes from the personification of gender controversial like sissies or cross-dressers. This dressed as queer linguistics in order to give the educations of to men and women to keep their nature in line, avoiding the gender controversion or queer itself. Some of the assumptions states that lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or simply known as LGBT, had been booming, and of course, this case should be worried by the rest of the inhabitants. In this case, every man and women had forgotten who they are actually. Because of that, the core linguistic has to focus on get their nature back by educating them psychologically in order to vanish the wrong side of gender and sexuality. In fact, core linguistic not only focused on how to vanish the sexual disorder like LGBT, but also to demonstrate the men and women to act their gender. For a milder example, to educate a boy who loves to play with girlish items like dolls, makeups, and vice versa, a girl who obsessed to do boys things like fighting, men's sports, and automotive. The parents in 80s era tends to matchmake their girlish boy son to marry the boyish girl in order that someday their personality will be changed. Some of the variation people that describes above will use a curious language when socialized with the others. For example, the sissy men in Indonesia, they will use slangs like Eke, that means I, or Nefsam, that means last. The style of speaking is based on their curious gesture while talking. In Indonesia, this is known as rempong or for softly melambai. While the woman who acts like a man will use a rough and tomboyish tune. And this is not very issued in Indonesia like the previous explanation. There are two accents in English of linguistics that we should know. First, the gay man accent, the style of speaking that frequently used by the gays. And this is the easiest way to guess if a certain man has a normal sex interest or not by the style of speech. The homosexuals tend to use gay lisp, or they will try to speak clearly and flamboyantly to show off their soft nature. They also try to mimicking the woman's speaking style. So guys, some of the gay men will use a flamboyant or soft tune in order to make their weird gesture, because some of the gay men will try to mimicking the speaking style of the woman that in order they believe well they do that maybe they can attract many men that will be the last object of them. Then we have the lesbians accent. The lesbians like to use the style of speaking that use more back vowels in order to be heard more subtle. They tend to use a high pitch and creaky tone while talking, especially when they are socialized with the women that they want to attract. So the lesbian women will use a flirtatious tone in order to get their last object. And sometimes they will use a more a more higher tone than a normal woman. It's so it's used to it's used to flirt another woman that will be the last object of them. So it will be dangerous. Then LGBT has slangs too. LGBT people mostly call with slangs in order to not say the word like gay or be vulgarly. The slangs often become a mocking or swearing words in some countries. They will use some lexicons from the frequent words for the LGBTs by measuring their conversation with each other. Sometimes it also pronounced both with the gesture of the LGBT or with sign. For example, first, we have dyke. This slang is used for addressing the lesbians. The reason why it's called dyke because it's come from the word bulljack. The word bull gives the sense of macho or tough to the lesbians. Most of the dykes are portrayed as butch and tomboyish women, and of course they speaks with a man-like dialect to show off their manly nature of a woman. So the lesbians is not only extremely feminine to attract their last object, and also they will act macho or manly in order to keep them different from the others in terms of sexuality. Then we have faggot. Faggot is frequently used for gay men and boys, especially when they show their pride as gays by waving the rainbow flag that we know currently. This term mostly spread in UK and has the same level with the word queer and homo. Faggots also refer to the men that have girly gesture while speaking, especially when they talk with the same gender. So guys, the term faggot itself also also infamous in UK because this always used as the swearing words when they find a boy who acts like a girl or who like cross dresser or some things that will will have their gender split up. So faggot itself will has been used as a swearing or mocking word in UK. So very dangerous. Okay guys, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.